So here we are in Blender. We're going to look at creating the cab light. So what we've got in 7300, we've got three interior lights. We've got the cab lights here, which are in fact two, one either side of the cab. We also have a spotlight here, sort of above the desk, and we also have this sort of reading light or desk light. I'm not sure what the value of this is. It seems to be over the display unit, which I don't think that would be a good thing to have, but I don't know. To have a light in front of a monitor. Anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to get the cab lights working. Now we've got a switch here, and this is marked spot on off and main on off. Now I don't know how this works in the 70 the 700. I'm not sure. I'm suspecting that it might actually be a rotary switch, so it turns like that, but also a press switch to press it on and off. Now I don't know if that is the case or not. I can't see the value of having both of these on at the same time, so I don't see the value of having that push switch, to be honest. As I've said, Dovetail Games have actually released a 700. I don't know how they've tackled that one, but I'm going to treat it as just spotlight off and cab light, okay? Because I can't see the point that you'd have both on at the same time, which would be the only reason you'd want to switch them off and on in their position. Okay, so what we're going to do, first off, let's create the animation for this switch. Now it's going to be freeway. It hasn't got off there in the middle, but I'm going to treat that as an off position. So it's going to be spotlight is on when it's here 45 degrees, and it's going to be the cab light over there when it's on this side of that off position. Now what you've got here, let me click up there, let me zoom in, there we go. Okay, what you've got here, as with the cab lights, let me see if I can find the lights. There they are, there's the lights, and here is the spotlight area. Okay, you've got, let me turn that one off and look at this. That is going to be your bulb in the off position, so switched off. So you put whatever material on there that you want it to look like. It's a bulb that is off, okay? And I've marked that one spotlight. What I then did, I copied, so I just copied this area here, so let's go like that. I copied it, so I duplicated it, and then I just separated it by selection, and that then gave me another face, okay, which I called spotlight spotlight lit. Okay, and what that switch will do, it will not only switch a light on and off, that's a separate entity, the actual light entity, but it will switch those two nodes off. And this node, actually the material on this node is a glow material. Let me just it actually isn't a glow material, there we go. No, it's a diffuse material. That should be a glow material, so I'll change that now. So let me just select here, and we want one, there we go, temp matte lit. Okay, and that actually then is a glow material, so it's train emissive glow. Okay, so that will glow white. So there we go. I need to check the other one that has also got a glow material, which is this cab light shade. Let me put the spotlight back on there. Okay, that will do it with the control. We'll switch that on and off with the control. When it sees LIT, it treats it as a light that's on. Okay, so you want a light that's off and a light that's on. That is a light that's on, so let's just make sure it's got that. Yes, it has emissive glow. There we go. And that's called cab light shade lit, and we'll have one there called cab light shade. Okay, so that's what we're going to get going first, is to switch those two off and on with this switch. So let me zoom in there. Wrong one. Zoom in. That's it. Okay, right, now I'm going to make this 5 frames, okay, and I'm going to animate it on 1, 3 and 5. Okay, so 1 it'll be spotlight, 3 it'll be in the center position, and 5 will be the cab light. So here we go, let's make that 5 frames then. Let's go back, make sure we're on frame 1, okay, and this wants to be 45 in the Z direction. Just this inner part, not the bezel, because we use that as a parent. So 45, and let's just insert a single keyframe. There we go. Now let's come to frame 3. Okay, and on frame 3 it wants to be 0. So let's insert single keyframe there. Okay, and now go to 5, and this wants to be minus 45. Okay, so that's switched across to there. Insert single keyframe. So there we go, there is our animation. Okay, 5 frames, and what we're going to do is we want to go to our tab here, export IA, make sure we've got relative export set, and visible children. The relative export, if when you take it into Train Sim you can't see your animation, it's probably because this isn't set. And when it's not set, if it's part of if it's got a parent, if it's not set, it will put it at 0, 0, 0, because effectively that's where that object sits as a child of the bezel. So if you can't see it and you're wondering what's happened, it's probably because that setting is not switched on. Okay, so now before we go any further, we must make sure that we take out the Bezier curves, because we don't want our animation to start slowly, then speed up and slow down again. Perhaps a flywheel, you might want that, but for most things animated, you want it straight at speed, especially a switch. It doesn't want to go like that, it just wants to flip over. So there we go. You just go key, let's go to interpolation mode and linear. So it's now a straight line graph, so to speak. There we go. So that's done. We know that's, we checked that from 1 to 5. Make sure this is on 5, so we've got a multiplier now, so it's 5 times 5, that's 25 frames, and Briage will put in a keyframe on every one of those frames. Normally you would do it yourself, or it used to say do it yourself. If you were doing a complete circle, it would say put in 360 keyframes, or however many you were handling. But Briage does it, so if you've got 5 there, that's 25, that's 1 second of old time TV in the UK anyway, which a lot of things were animated to that, or 24 frames. It originally started at about 15 frames a second, but the more frames the less jerky the movement. Okay, but the higher the file size. So there we go. So let's export it. Let's stop waffling, export it. There we go, and there we've already got one. I'll just click on it, cab light. There we go, export, and it says it's exported. Okay, so now we've got that. We just need to remember those nodes: the spotlight lit, spotlight and spotlight lit, and the other one was cab light shade and cab light shade lit. So we need to remember that when we go into the blueprint editor, which is where we're going to go now. So here we are in the engine blueprint. Now we want to go into this control container component down to control values. Now if you use the default file that I put on the drive there, you should have one down here marked CabLite control. Now it doesn't matter if you've got a different one, you've named it differently, it doesn't matter as long as you remember the name, because you're going to have to call that from the input mapper. So let's have a look at the CabLite control then. This is going to control the spotlight and the CabLite. We've got default value, minimum value and maximum value. So minimum 0, maximum 1. Well, it's actually we want 3 position there, so we want 3 values. So then what we can say is this minimum value probably wants to be -1. Okay, so we've got -1, 0 and then +1 for the CabLite, -1 for the spotlight. Localized control name, you can call it what you want, but that is the name that will show up when you hover over the switch. You know, make that clear so that you know what it's doing there. Now what else? Now we need some interface elements. First one, we need an actual switch, okay, to control. So we'll use an interior notch lever. Okay, let's open this up and we'll call this CabLite switch. CabLite switch. There we go. Now transform name, that is the node name in Blender, and that was all lowercase CabLite switch. Okay, that's what the node was called, the actual switch mesh. We'll up the sensitivity, put this to 5. Okay, animation name, let's look in the animation folder, and there is CabLite IA. So copy that path and paste it in there. There we go. And output interface cab, that's fine. Resting notch position, yes, we don't want it to spring back. Number of notches, we've got -1, 0 and 1, so that's 3 notches. Okay, so there we go. That is the switch setup, and what we're basically setting up here is for the mouse control. So what we do here, we'll control the light via the mouse. So now what we want to do is we want to create those glow materials or glow meshes, because they're just faces. We want to switch them on and off, i.e. make them visible and invisible. So what we want is visibility elements. So if we come down to here, you can see one marked interior visibility object. So that's what we want. So first one, let's do the CabLite. So we'll call this CabLite on. Okay, so this will be switching the CabLite on. Now, lower visibility and upper visibility threshold, that's when it's going to become visible, and the number that it stays visible till. Okay, well, 1 basically is going to be the number, it's going to be visible, don't go higher than that. But the lower visibility threshold, well, let's bring it when it's just about on 1, so we'll make it 0.9. Okay, so when it gets to 0.9, that node will become visible and you will see that glow material, so it'll look like it's been switched on. Okay, transform name, well, this is the node name. Okay, and this is the CabLite, and it was CabLite underscore shade underscore lit. Okay, that was the node name in Blender. You know, you probably need a pad by the side of you when you do this sort of work, so you can remember the names that you've given things. Okay, so that means that when it gets to 0.9, it will appear to come on, so it'll give that glow. Obviously it's not switching the light, that's just switching that glow material to make it look like the bulb is lit. Okay, so let's add another one. So visibility object, there we go. This is slightly different. Okay, this is spotlight on. There we go. Now, lower visibility and upper visibility. Well, this is on the negative side. So the lower visibility is going to be -1. So it's going to be the opposite way round to this this other one, because -1 is the lower number. Okay, so the lower visibility threshold then is going to be -1. The upper visibility is going to remain on from -1 to -0.9. Okay, so it's just the opposite way round to the positive side of the switch. Transform name, yes, this was spotlight lit. There we go. So that is it. That is the settings then for the cab light control. If we save this out and if we went into the game now, we would be able to control that light using the mouse. Okay, but we also want to control it using the keyboard, so that we're going to have to do by assigning values to the input mapper, to a key in the input mapper. So that's what we're going to do next. So I've opened up the input mapper blueprint. Now often with the key mapper, you'll have three files, and one is for the stop go or the basic difficulty level. You'll get an intermediate difficulty level and an advanced difficulty level. Okay, but you can use the one for all three of those if you want. Okay, and that's what we're going to do. So let me open this up now. What you'll find is that usually with a cab light, it's on or off. There's a switch to switch the cab light on and switch it off. Now when we have that sort of situation, let me open one of these. When we have that sort of situation, we would say you're toggling the control off and on. Okay, so in that case we would use this toggle control. Now with not just switching it off and on, because we've got spotlight off and then we've got the cab light, so we're going to have to do it a different way, and this is the way we're going to do it. I'll just show you. So I'm going to add an element here. Now some, or not some, quite a few sections of blueprints are haven't been implemented, and they're not likely to be implemented now. So this is one of them. State, we don't have to alter that. Device, yes, it's the keyboard that we're doing. Button state, well, we've got two states, down or up. So this is going to represent when we press that button, and it's going to do something all the while we've got our finger on the button. So we want this button down. Now the button we're going to use is L, which is the usual one for the cab light, so key L. Now shift button, if I open that up, you can see we can have key L with a shift, so shift and key L, control and key L, or shift and control key L. So that enables us to have 4 different actions on that L key. Okay, so we will be using that. Axis no. Right, name and parameter. These are, to my mind, confusing, because you saw with this one up here, the what went in here is toggle control, and that, to be honest, is more an action to toggle control. But I presume it's meant to mean the name of the action. Now, we don't want toggle. What we want is this. We want increase, so we want something to increase control. It's basically the control we're increasing, and we want it to start to increase. Okay, there we go. So increase control start. Make sure you put those capitals in the right place. Okay, increase control start. So basically this is going to increase all the while we're holding the L key down. Now the parameter is actually the control that we're controlling, and here we said cab light control. Okay, again, that is what it was in this this blueprint here. If I come up to here, it's cab light control. So you need to make sure, if you haven't followed this example, point to the control you're actually controlling. So there we go. So that's the start of it. Let's add another element. Okay, and I'm going to copy this one because it's practically the same. Okay, let's paste the information onto it. It's practically the same. The only difference is this is when you lift your finger off the button. Okay, so when the button comes up, and instead of starting, you want it to stop. Okay, so that then will stop that number increasing. Of course, we're only talking about sort of three numbers, -1, 0 and 1. So, but you could have it counting like the throttle control obviously counts up to 100% or 10 or however you've graded that, you know. Okay, so now we want another one, and again, button down. Now this is going to be again the L button. I'm going to use the same button, but now we're going to hold the shift key down. So let's go shift button, shift. Okay, so this is going to be shift L. Okay, now when we press shift L, what we want to do is to decrease the value. Okay, so we go decrease, control, start. Okay, oh, nothing come up. I would think I must have been on the wrong one. Right, now let's do it again. Right, decrease. Let me look at the screen. Control, start. There we go. So this is the opposite now. The other one was increasing, so we were making the number go up. Now we're making it go down. Decrease, control, start, and of course it's the cab light control. There we go. Okay, so that's that one. And again, new state, that's not been mapped, so you don't need to worry about that one. Okay, another new one, and again just copy and paste it. We've only got a couple of things to change, so let's open it up. So now we want button up, and same as we did before, we want it to stop when we lift our finger off the button. Okay, so that is it then. So the L key, now we've got 4 entries there under cab light control. When we press the L button, it will count up. When we press the shift L, it will count down. Okay, and like I say, it's only got three states, -1, 0 or 1, so we're not going any higher than that. So that's all we have to do there in the tutorial mapper. Now we could save that out, so we could save the file. Let's just save it. We could export it and just check that everything's working okay. But also, when you export the engine blueprint, that will export that one anyway, because it's associated with the engine blueprint. So now let's go back to our engine control. Let's double check that. Oh, I see, I just moved that with my mouse. Double check that that's all okay. Yes, we've got the visibility elements in there. Yes, to come on and go off when we want them. Make sure you got minus on this other one. Cab light shade lit, yes. Spotlight lit, and that all looks fine. Let me click this resting notched position. I must have knocked that when I moved my mouse key. Okay, so that is fine, and now let's go into Train Sim and check whether it's worked. I jumped the gun there because I forgot to export the files. Let me do that now. I've cleared the other export off there, so let's go up here, export, and export with references. Bang bang bang. It'll take, yeah, there it goes, it's done. And I know that it would show up an error on one of those lines if it were not working. So it is working. So now we will go and check it out in Train Sim. So here we are on a rather dark evening, and here we are in the cab. There is our switch. Now, you remember it defaulted to 0, so it's in the right position in the center there. Now let's have a look up here. We can see the cab light, and this is going to be the sort of glow. At the moment this is showing its normal state, and because it's dark you can't see the color, but if that had a color on it you'd see the color of that shade. Here you can make it faintly out that it's a sort of yellowy color. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's switch the spotlight on. I'll move that with the mouse. We should be lit there. We are lit, and this is unlit. Okay, and let's turn it off, back to off. That's not lit, that's not lit, and let's turn it to on. Okay, that's not lit, and that is lit. So it's worked, certainly with the mouse. Let's try it now with our keyboard. Now we're at maximum here, so I can't press the L button. I've got to press Shift L, and Shift L should move it down. So let's have a look. There we go, Shift L, and it's gone to the off position. Okay, Shift L again and gone to the spotlight position. There we go, that's lit. And again, now I'll press L. There we go, off position, and once more L, and we've gone to the cab light on position. Okay, so that worked great. The switch works, the keyboard shortcut works fine, and the glow material switches on, shows up when we switch it. So now what we need to do is attach the lights to that switch. Okay, and that's where we need a little bit of Lua script to turn the lights on and off when they're in the various positions. So let's go and do that.